Hi, everybody. Jerry the Bomber Bombalicki here with the Shooting Star Show, part 2 with Ron Alexenburg. Hey, Ron, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. It's good to see you, Gary.
Well, thank you. You too. Anyway, Ron's going to talk a little bit about some of the folks that he's worked with over the years. He has some great stories. One of the stories I'd like you to talk about is Sly and the Family Stone, because your story about Sly and your relationship with him is just incredible. So tell us how you met Sly Stone and how it worked over at Epic Records.
Well, Sly was an artist on Epic Records,
right?
A brilliant artist. And Clive Davis called me into his office and he played me a song called I Want to Take You Higher.
Okay.
And he said, what do you think of that? I said, it's a hit. I got to have it. He said, well, the way you're going to have it is you're going to have to take over Epic Records. I'm going, what? I don't want to take over Epic Records. I'm with Columbia. I'm the head of promotion.
What was the relationship at Columbia? What was Columbia? Was Columbia Epic Records a big label at the time?
Well, yeah, they had Dave Clark 5, Bobby Vinton,
okay,
Tammy Wynette, owned by Columbia, owned by CBS.
Right.
They were on the 13th floor, and Columbia was on the 12th floor, the same CBS building.
Okay.
But I never paid attention to Epic. They didn't like me. Because Columbia, I mean, you know.
That was your deal, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. And Clive said, you could become the youngest vice president at CBS, and I'd like you to take over Epic Records. I don't want to do that.
That's amazing.
But he had Sly and the Family Stone. So that was just one of them. And then there was Poco and some other artists. And one of the people up there I was very friendly with. So I got off the elevator and went upstairs, and as I was walking through, they had already gotten the word that I was going to be the new guy, vice president of Epic.
Okay.
Nobody was talking to me. So I pulled everybody into the conference room. This was a Friday, and I said, listen, I'm going to be the guy now in charge of Epic Records, and I'm a team player, and if you want to come in here Monday and be on my team, I promise you we'll do everything we can to win. And if you don't, CBS had that awful phrase, we'll put a package together. Yeah. And they'll pay you and be on your way. I showed up that Monday, everybody was there, and we began to build the label that went from 4 million to close to 400 million. And it was amazing. All signing artists.
And that's a lot of money back then.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what year was this?
Well, it was 1972 to 1979.
That's amazing.
And signing artists that a lot of people didn't want.
So Sly and the Family Stone.
But Sly was just a creative genius, and his concerts, whether he would show up or not, sometimes didn't matter to his audience. In Chicago, for example, Grant Park, my hometown, there's Sly and the Family Stone getting ready to go on. We're at the Pitt Congress Hotel, looking out at Grant Park, and Sly is in the room, and his manager is there. And they said, okay, it's time to go across. He says, okay. So he went in the bathroom, and about 10 or 15 minutes later, we're still waiting for him to come out of the bathroom. Well, he came out of the bathroom. We didn't know that. He left. He got the cab, went to the airport, and left all those people.
And all these people are in Grant Park?
Yeah. And that was Sly. And they held on to the tickets.
So what did they, so that was it? The concert was over?
There was none. So years later, he's sitting with me in my office, and he wanted to have lunch. So there was a great restaurant in New York, and I took him for a piece of meat, and I was handing him a royalty check for a lot of money.
Right.
And one of the things they had on the menu was oxtail soup.
Okay.
He said, oxtail. He said, where's the ox? The ox is in the kitchen, and they're cutting it up, and there's going to be oxtail soup. Handed him this check, and he had a bodyguard with him named Turu, who was like an 8th or 9th degree black belt in karate. And that was his bodyguard, skinny guy, maybe 150 pounds. And I go back to the office. Sly left with the check in his hand. I get a phone call in my office from the Chemical Bank.
Oh, okay.
And the Chemical Bank said, Mr. Alexenburg, we have a man here. Of course, he had his big fro, and Sly was Sly. He said, he wants to cash his check. I said, well, he wants to cash this check. It's a CBS check.
Right.
It was a good check. I come right across the street, and I said, Sly, There's no way you're going to get this check cash. They'll give you some money. The money will be wired to San Francisco to Oakland. But Turu, go to the corner. There's a little store called Gucci. Go in there. I have an account in there. I'll call ahead. They're going to give you an attaché case with handcuff. Come back. Comes back. They hand them a lot of money. Put it in the attaché case. Take care, Sly. Good luck. But the reason I gave him that is he turned in an album at the same time called The Family Affair.
Wow, that was big.
So, yeah. So that was a good exchange, right? He got a royalty check, the mastered, the album. I go to lunch at Toots Shores, which is right across the street. I come back in, I'm telling the story to a couple of people. I walk into my office, my secretary says, here's the phone. I said, what? It's LaGuardia Airport. What? Yeah, the police, they want to talk to you. Okay, get on the phone. Yes, Mr. Alexenburg, yes. You have a gentleman that you know called Sylvester Stewart? I'm going, yes. Is there any reason why he won't open his attaché case? And I said, no. Would you talk to him? Because if he doesn't open the attaché case, he's not getting on the airplane.
Oh boy, here we go.
Sly, what's the matter, man? Okay, just do me a favor. Open it up while I'm on the phone, and that's that. They open it up, and there's money in the attaché case.
A lot of money.
I can't make this up. Yeah. The police officer from the Port Authority, he says to him, what is all this? Sly looks at him like I'm looking at you, and he said, it's my Mother's Day present. They close it. Off he goes to California. But he was a creative genius. It's a shame what happened to him. Cocaine madness, you know, we weren't any reason for him not to support him, believe in him. It's a family affair. I mean, that's what it was. And he created such a great buzz for my promotion people. The men and women that worked at Epic Records were the sensational people, marketing people. They loved him, he loved them, but that was Sly. You know?
Well, we're going to take a break. Maybe we could talk about Madison Square Garden for a second.
Oh, his wedding?
Yeah, in a second here. Anyway, Gary the Bomber Bombalicki here on the Shooting Star Show, brought to you by blowbacklasertrainer.com. We'll be right back. Hi, Gary the Bomber Bombalicki. We're back with the Shooting Stars Show with Ron Alexenburg, and we're going to continue our talk with Ron about Sly and the Family Stone, Madison Square Garden.
Well, Sly gave me one of the greatest nights ever in the music business when he suggested to me that he get married while he was in New York. And I said, why don't we do it on stage at Madison Square Garden?
Okay.
When you're going to have your gig. And he goes to Kathy, what do you think of that? It was a great idea. So I called Ron Delsner, who was the promoter, and I said, we'd like to do something a little special for Sly. What do you want to do? I said, well, he's going to get married on the stage in front of 22,000 people.
That's unbelievable. And what did you say when you found that out?
Well, I agreed to do it. And I said, as long as we can do a party afterwards, the wedding party. And I called the staff together, and I said, we're going to do Sly's wedding. Where? Madison Square Garden. Oh, really? Yeah. And I'm going to book the Waldorf Astoria afterwards for the party. And it was a magical night where Sly got dressed all in white, everybody in white. And when he did, I Want to Take You Higher, boom chakalaka, and you have 22,000 people standing up there congratulating him. He got married on the stage of the Madison Square Garden. It was quite an exciting night. And afterwards went over to the Waldorf Astoria, where they asked us to be finished by 2 in the morning.
Oh, that's early.
Yeah, well, it wasn't. And at 6 o'clock in the morning, when my wife and I got to the Americana Hotel, and I still had my tuxedo on, there was a knock on the door, and I was informed that Reverend Franklin from San Francisco was not ordained in New York, and that there was no wedding license, marriage license, and that had to be pre-approved, obviously. And I saw my job just disappearing, whatever.
So all this went on. You got married, and
went on.
there was no marriage.
Well, yeah, there was. There was Reverend Franklin on the stage.
But it didn't count in New
Married.
York.
Oh, it did, because Sly immediately went to town hall in front of a judge and got the license, and then all was cool. Okay?
That was some honeymoon night.
Yeah, it was. And it was a very special night. We had at the party the Isley Brothers, and we had Frankie Crocker, the #1 jock in New York, sitting there at WBLS. And it was just an amazing night. You know?
Wow. And so there's other stories that you told me over the years, and one of my favorites is your friend Meat Loaf. And tell us about what happened and how it came about and you heard him for the first time.
Well, Steve Popovich, God rest his soul, was my A&R man at Epic, and always was on the street listening to unusual things, unusual artists. And he comes in with this 10-inch reel, and I was one of the few people in the building
Reel to reel.
that had the big 10-inch reel
Right.
machine. I could play it without going to a studio. And he said to me, "Can you listen to this tonight and let me know what you think?" And he's driving to Freehold, New Jersey, and it's Friday night at about 9 o'clock. And I put it on. I listened to music really loud. And just as the phone rang, all the lights went out in New York.
So when you're listening to this reel, 10-inch reel to reel, who brought you the reel?
Steve Popovich and some artist named Todd Rudner, who produced the album. People don't really realize that. Anyway, I look out of my office and all the lights are out in New York. And Steve said, "What do you think?" And I said, "It's the most powerful album I ever heard. Just blew the lights out of New York."
And this was the blackout of New York City.
That's
what
right.
year was that?
76,
76, 77, something like that.
And when I heard Bat Out of Hell, and then the following day, obviously the lights went back on. Meat was in town, or as some people call him, Mr. Loaf. And he and Carla DeVito came in, and they did Paradise by the Dashboard Lights for the staff. And we were having a tough time getting it on the air because it was a long track.
Because it was over 3.5 minutes.
Oh, yeah, it was much longer than that. And the following week, there was a conference in New Orleans called the Gavin Conference. And Scott Muni, God rest his soul, who is the #1 FM jock at WNEW, loved the album. And Scottster, as they called him, and he said, "Ron, what's going on?" And I said, "Man, I need you to talk about playing the Meat Loaf album." And he says, "Yeah." And he stood up in front of a bunch of radio people, and he said, "You guys are missing it. This album is really great, really good." He played Bat Out of Hell, and the next thing you know, that album, again, was slow to pick up, but it's now somewhere around 50 million albums sold. So,
wow, and you've been friends with him ever since.
Yes, right now he's going through some difficult health issues. I believe he's going to try and do a new album with Steve Popovich Jr.,
okay,
who is the son of Steve Popovich, in Nashville. He has a new record company called Cleveland International.
Oh, and I love that name.
Yeah.
Because I'm from Cleveland, of course.
And we titled it, "If We Can Record It, My Last at Bat."
I love that. And you heard it right here on this show.
Yeah, first time it's been said. We don't know if it'll happen. Meat's got to go in and record it. And Jim Steinman, is not in the best of health, but there's 3 songs that Jim has given Meat to record. Hopefully, one of them will be successful and we'll be able to get a new album from Meat Loaf. It's up to him. It's not up to us.
Well, that's exciting. And Ron, we appreciate you coming today. We're going to have, there's more coming. this is the end of this edition of the Shooting Star Show. But on coming shows, we're going to be talking about people like Kansas and Hart and Charlie Daniels and even maybe Michael Jackson here on the Shooting Star Show, brought to you by blowbacklasertrainer.com. Recoil training ready to go.
Hey guys, Jersey Al here with blowbacklasertrainer.com. Recoil training ready to go. Let me show you a couple things about the blowback laser trainer. Besides the recoil, you charge this magazine up and you get 3,100 shots, and you can dry fire it too. That's amazing. Plus, with the recoil, you get 40 to 60 rounds or more. Comes with a target also. Go to blowbacklasertrainer.com.